Spring is calling, and so is Paris. I've got a trip coming up, and Quince is making sure I take this trip in style. They make first-class quality essentials, but at an economy price tag, and I am so here for that. I've been eyeing this 100% organic cotton knit blazer in black, which is perfect for that effortless, I just woke up like this look in Paris. Quince has sleek luggage, chic tote bags, even washable silk tops, and breezy linen styles that start at just $30. The best part? Everything is 50 to 80% less than similar brands. No middleman, just luxe goods made in ethical factories with beautiful materials. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/nursemo for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/nursemo to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/nursemo. Well, hello. I'm Nurse Mo, and this is the Straight A Nursing Podcast where I teach concepts and share tips on how to thrive in nursing school and at the bedside. So I want to start this episode with a listener shout out, and this listener shout out goes out to you, my listener. I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you tuning in, and if you have written to me to share a podcast idea or feedback on how the podcast has helped you, then you get an extra virtual high five hug from me. So thank you so much for listening, sharing all the things. You mean the world to me, and you are why I work so hard on this podcast. So speaking of listener shout outs, I'm kind of interested in what you have to say, what your opinion on this is, because I heard from someone that they thought they were cheesy and annoying. So I, of course, don't want to be cheesy and annoying. I just like sharing the love and sharing how the podcast has helped people. But if you don't find value in that, or if you think it's fabulous and it inspires you and encourages you, let me know either way. Send me an email at team@straightanursingstudent.com. I would love to hear from you. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can easily just add a comment and I'll see it there as well. Okay, today we are talking about a quick, easy, totally doable way to drastically reduce your stress, whether you're a nurse or a nursing student, because one of the ways that stress really can manifest is with poor sleep, poor focus, all those things. So we're going to talk about a really quick and easy way to help alleviate that. So let's paint a picture. It's 11 o'clock at night. You're in bed, you're absolutely exhausted. You finally get to close your eyes after a really long day. But your brain is not on board. Your brain has total other plans. Suddenly you remember maybe you never followed up on a lab that you sent in clinical, or if you're a working nurse, a lab that you sent, or whether you charted something super important, or you start thinking about your next exam or that patient that you had who just couldn't get comfortable and you felt like, gosh, did I do everything I could have done? Your body is exhausted, but your brain is absolutely sprinting still. Does that sound at all familiar? This is so common for nursing students and working nurses. We carry a lot in our heads all the time. Like one of the things that I'm not going to say exhausted me, but the factor that really was impactful for me when I was working in the ICU, especially, was I just want to get out of my head for 5 minutes. And that's why I love yoga and things like that so much, walking out in nature, because you don't have to be in your head to do those things, right? You can really just connect in with yourself. So as a student, as a nurse, we're in our heads all the time. It's no wonder we can't turn it off, we can't relax, we can't sleep, and it's no wonder that we feel really stressed even when we're off the clock, even when we're not at school, even when we're not at clinical. So what we're talking about today is brain dumping. And it is like a little mini mental decluttering session. It helps reduce stress. It helps offload your thoughts. And if you're one of those people like me whose mind starts racing at night, it can actually help you sleep. So today I'm going to walk you through why our brains feel so overloaded, what brain dumping actually is, how it can help with sleep and anxiety and productivity, something students are definitely interested in, a little bit about the science behind it, and how to try it yourself. And I'll include a guided, quick brain dump session at the end of this episode so that you can do it along with me. So let's dive in. Why does your brain feel so full all the time? Well, whether you're a nurse out there working, fighting the good fight every day, or you're a student in clinical, this is a profession that requires you to hold a ton of information in your head at all times, and not just clinical info about your patient, but you've got meds to remember, all these medications, how they work, what they do, what the side effects are, protocols for your hospital. That's a huge mental load, by the way. As a student, you don't see this as much. As a working nurse, oh my gosh, the constant changes in policy and protocols is enough to make your head spin. You've got to remember test results, things that your preceptor told you if you're on orientation or if you're in clinical. All these things can really just fill up your head. And as a nurse, of course, you're constantly on the lookout for complications and evaluating, did that intervention I do worked? And if it didn't, what's my plan B? What's my plan C? What's my plan D? It is relentless. And then you go home, but do you think the mental load stops there? Most of the time it does not. You're still thinking about what happened during your shift or what's going to be coming your way with your next shift or your next clinical day. And maybe you even have stuff going on in your life that you have to keep track of and manage: groceries, bills, relationships, maybe parenting, caregiving. Your brain never really gets a chance to slow down, or as I say, power down. And if you're a student, same thing here, just with school itself, just taking the clinical part out of it. You're balancing a lot. You're balancing all your schoolwork. You're balancing your exams, your skills labs, your group projects, those papers, and doing all of this while going to clinical and getting pushed to your absolute limits. Plus, there's that whole I still have a life part going along with that. And that also takes a lot of mental energy. Think of it like having 20 or more, if you're like me, browser tabs open. And when I have a ton of browser tabs open, I don't know about your computer, but mine really starts to slow down. And then I can't really find the actual tabs that I need. So not very efficient either. So all this to say, all the stuff that's going on in your brain is cognitive overload. And when you get into that overload stage, that's when your brain, as amazing as it is, will start dropping the ball here and there, forgetting things, struggling to focus, or doing that really annoying thing where you rehash conversations and scenarios from earlier over and over again. And yes, this can definitely interrupt your sleep. And when your sleep is interrupted, you have more stress, maybe you're more irritable, maybe you're less motivated, and then it's kind of a vicious cycle that makes it harder to function during the day, harder to focus. So the time that I really noticed this happening to me where my brain would legit not turn off was when I was taking anatomy and physiology, that first component of anatomy and physiology. And I remember lying in bed and all my brain could do was cycle through all the dang bones in the body because we had to memorize that. Remember, every single bone, of which there are many, plus all the landmarks on all the bones. It was so overwhelming. And then I'd drift off to sleep. Guess what? I would dream about the bones. So that was the first time I really noticed this happening. And I didn't discover the magic of doing a brain dump until many, many years later. So I want you to know this is one of the simplest, most accessible things that you can do to get your brain to kind of power down. Do you like my robot noise? Kind of power down so that you can get the restful sleep that you need and retain your focus. So what exactly is brain dumping? So it's basically what it sounds like. It's dumping everything that's floating around in your brain onto paper. There's no structure to it. There's no filter to it. There's no pressure to write cute or be organized or be legible. Just write everything down. That's it. So what kinds of things would go in your brain dump? It could be absolutely anything that's swirling around in your head. It could be tasks that you need to do. It could be random thoughts, fabulous ideas that you had. It could be emotional stuff that you are kind of on the verge of dealing with, but maybe not so much. So it's in that worry zone. It could be things you'll be worried that you're going to forget. It could be things you're worried about. And it could just be basic mental static like, oh yeah, I need to get more coffee. My feet hurt. My back is sore. I'm nervous about clinicals tomorrow, whatever it is. So I want to be clear that brain dumping is not journaling, okay? You don't have to, like for me, journaling feels overwhelming because I feel like I have to be interesting. Does that make sense? Because sometimes I'll write a journal entry, I'll go through these spurts, and then I look back and I think, wow, I'm really boring that week. And then I don't want to journal because I don't really have anything super insightful or I don't have the energy to be super insightful. That is not what brain dumping is. It's not journaling. It's also not goal setting. It's not a to-do list either, although it could help you create a to-do list, but it's really just about releasing your thoughts so that your mind can rest. It's like mental triage, for example. Once you get everything out, you can actually see what's important, what's urgent, and what's just clutter. And whenever I do a brain dump, 99% of it is clutter. But in the moment, it feels like it's all important. So as you're doing your brain dump, just think, I'm not journaling, I'm not making a to-do list, I'm not doing any goal setting, I'm just unloading. And again, unlike journaling, it doesn't have to be deep, it doesn't have to be reflective, it doesn't have to solve all your problems. You're just giving your brain a place to put all that noise so you don't have to hold on to it anymore. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about why brain dumping works. So let's talk about why brain dumping works. So there's actually some sciencey stuff behind why brain dumping helps reduce stress and ultimately improve sleep. And if you've read any of my book, The Nursing School Thrive Guide, which I have a new version coming out very soon. In fact, it might already be out by now, thinking about the date that this episode airs. Yes, it is out. It is available. The first book was called Nursing School Thrive Guide. This one is called The Ultimate Nursing School Thrive Guide. And in that book, I talk a lot about sleep because it is such a factor in nursing school success. So brain dumping can help you with that sleep. So first, it's going to help you with emotional regulation. So studies have shown that writing down your thoughts, especially stressful thoughts or repetitive thoughts, can actually calm the brain's stress response. When you externalize those thoughts, your brain doesn't feel the need to keep holding on to them and spinning them around in circles. You've acknowledged them. They're not forgotten. You've put them somewhere safe, and now your brain has a sense of relief. So let's say you had tricky or kind of testy conversation with a good friend of yours earlier in the day. You might lie in bed over and over and over again, thinking about what was said, what wasn't said, how you felt, all of those things, right? That's going to keep you up. If you externalize all of that, that event is still there. It still happened. It still might need to be addressed at some point, but you've kind of put it over in this safe spot so that your brain can finally let go of it for a bit so that you can get some rest. Okay, so that's the first part, helping with emotional regulation. Second, it does help with sleep. So there was a study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology that found that people who wrote down upcoming tasks for just 5 minutes before bed fell asleep significantly faster than people who didn't. And the reason for this is because your brain no longer feels like it has to hold on to your to-do list. Now, I did say that brain dumping is not making a to-do list, but if you have tasks running around in your head, jot them down, because the reason they're running around in your head is because you're trying not to forget them, right? Like my husband doesn't write anything down, and it drives me crazy because he's always kind of stressed about everything he has to get done. And I just want to say, well, if you had just, if you just had a list, you wouldn't have to think about it all the time. You probably wouldn't forget things. So yes, brain dumping, you can offload the list that's already running around in your head, but you're not generating a new list. Does that make sense? So that's kind of the difference there. All right, so that was helping with emotional regulation, helping with sleep, and third, it reduces cognitive load. This one seems kind of like a no-brainer, right? When your brain is juggling all that stuff, your working memory does get overwhelmed. And that means you forget things. You might miss details on an exam or in clinical. You could feel foggy walking into a skills checkoff. You definitely don't want that. Brain dumping is like taking files off your desktop and putting them nice and neat in a folder. They're still accessible, they're still there, but they're no longer junking up your entire desktop screen. And then fourth, brain dumping increases clarity. Once everything is out of your head and onto paper, you can look at it objectively. I would advise not necessarily looking at it objectively in the moment, especially if you're brain dumping before bed, because then you're starting to get into problem-solving mode. But get it out of your head, look at it the next day, and everything could be a lot more clear. And you might realize, oh, only 3 of these things are urgent, or that interaction I had with that family member in clinical wasn't actually as awkward as I thought it to be. In fact, I'm probably the only one that thought it was awkward, etc. You might also look at this list of things that you dumped out and realize, wow, I'm carrying a lot emotionally right now. No wonder I feel exhausted. Maybe I need to spend a little extra time taking care of myself this week. The bottom line is, brain dumping gives your brain permission to let go. And that's when the real rest, the real rejuvenation can happen. And as a nurse or a nursing student, you absolutely need that rejuvenation time. Okay, now let's talk about how to actually do it. So the beauty of a brain dump is there really aren't any rules, but here's a simple way to get started. So first off, choose a time to do your brain dump. I like to do mine before bed because that's when it's kind of like when your body stops moving and doing is when you really notice what your brain is saying. So getting into bed, sitting quietly for a minute, and noticing all the stuff that's swirling around. That's when I like to do it. Another time to do it could be after a shift. If you're a working nurse, after your shift is a fabulous time to do it. It kind of helps transition you from work into home. If you're a student, you could do it after a clinical shift as well. Or if anytime your mind feels especially cluttered, maybe right before an exam, you could do a quick brain dump. Get all that clutter out so that you can focus on your exam. So choose a time to do it. Again, absolutely no rules. And then next, you want to choose a method. If you want to just grab a notebook, grab a scratch piece of paper, type things on your phone, grab a sticky note, make a voice memo, whatever. Doesn't matter. Again, 0 rules. And then you want to set a timer. This is not an hour-long exercise. Just try 5 minutes to start. You can go longer if you want, but try for 5 minutes to really get that big impact of noticing what's happening inside your head and purging it out. And then the last guideline is to write everything down or say it if you're using a voice memo. There's no editing, no filtering. Don't be embarrassed about the weird, awkward thoughts you're thinking. Just let it all spill out. Nobody's going to see this but you. This is a great place to purge your worries, your feelings, your reminders, your stuff that you wish you'd said earlier. Just get it all down. Now, I know a lot of people listening probably would prefer to have some structure. So if you're that type of person, if that helps you access all the parts of your brain, then you could use different categories like, here's things I need to do. Remember, you're not creating a to-do list. You're not brainstorming all the things you need to do to plan your son's 5th birthday party, but you might just write down, plan Max's 5th birthday party. Okay, that's already in your head. So need to do items. Things I'm worried about would be another great category. Random thoughts could be another category. And one about emotions would be another great category. But to be perfectly honest, a really good brain dump is actually pretty messy, pretty chaotic, pretty all over the place, and that's what makes it work. Now, here's an optional tip for those of you who are kind of type A. After you're done, you can go back and look at it, and I would, again, not do this right after, do this later. Go back and highlight a few things that you want to act on, things that do require action, resolution, what have you. Go back, highlight those so that you don't feel like you just purged, but there's no follow-up, because sometimes there will be things that do need a little bit of follow-up. All right, so are you ready to do a guided brain dump exercise with me? So if you're driving, just keep driving. You can play this later when you're home. But if you're somewhere where you can grab a piece of scratch paper and a pen, let's do a quick guided brain dump exercise. So take a deep breath all the way in and let it out. And we're going to take just a little bit of time here to write. Again, don't need to make sense, don't need to be organized, doesn't need to be neat or even that readable. Just let your mind empty. All right, so here we go. Start by writing what is on your mind right now, that top overwhelming thing that is filling up your brain chatter. It could be something that's bugging you, something unfinished from your day, something you're worried about that's coming up, something that you regret doing over the day or feel a little weird about. Maybe it was a relationship that's a little bit strained. Whatever it is, start here with that biggest thing that's on your mind right now. And even if it's a silly thought, like, oh, I can't forget to take the trash out in half an hour, write it down. That's what's in your brain. Just let your thoughts be totally and completely honest. Okay, so take a little time to get those things that are on your mind right now out on paper. Okay, so next, think about your feelings and feel your feelings and see if you can describe them. Are they feelings of overwhelm? Or are you feeling anxious, feeling tired, feeling frustrated, fearful, joyful? And sometimes you can feel all those things all at once. So jot down all the feelings that you are predominantly noticing in yourself right now? Okay. How's it feeling? Is it feeling okay? All right, good. Next, write down something that you're trying to remember or that you're worried you're going to forget. A task, an errand you need to run, a detail about a homework assignment, a friend's birthday that's coming up, whatever it could be. Write down something or a list of things that you're trying to remember. Okay. Doesn't it feel good to get that stuff out of your head? I'm telling you, it really does. Because now you don't have to worry about trying to remember it. It's written down somewhere. And then finally, for the last bit, just write whatever comes to mind. Anything goes. Free form writing. Take about 30 seconds to do that. I'm going to put on a timer, give you 30 seconds. Start writing. Look at that. You did it. You just did a brain dump exercise. You've released a whole bunch of stuff, gotten it out of your head. How does your head feel right now? Does it feel decluttered? Does it feel like what you think your closet probably feels like when you get rid of all those clothes that you don't like anymore? Yes, it feels amazing. So there you have it. The joy, the magic, the simplicity, the wonderfulness of brain dumping. Very simple but powerful tool that helps you reduce stress, sleep better, stay focused, reduce overwhelm, all of those great things. Now, you don't have to do this every single day. I really only do it when my brain feels especially chaotic and heavy, or if I notice that I'm not sleeping well. And if it's been a couple nights where I get in bed and I lay there for an hour and a half, I realize, oh yeah, I probably just have a lot going on in my head. I need to do a brain dump. And it makes such a big difference. So here's your challenge. I want you to try to do a brain dump tonight, especially if you did not do the guided one with me just right now. But again, do one tonight right before sleep and see how that feels. Now, I do have this brain dump topic written out on my website. So if you kind of want to look back and see how to do it, you can go to that topic, go to straightanursingstudent.com/brain-dump to find that blog post. And then you can see kind of like the written out how to do it, though I think it's pretty easy. But again, a lot of us really like structure and to-do list. And as always, I do love hearing how the things that I share with you are working for you. So send me an email if you try it. I read all your emails, even if I don't always have time to reply back right away. And sometimes, honestly, I'm really embarrassed by how long it takes me to write back. But I do read everything. So just go to straightanursingstudent.com, go to the website, and go down to the bottom menu bar to the contact link, and then you can get a message to me. I'd love to hear how it works for you. And if this episode helped you, if your brain already feels lighter, more open to learning new things, more able to focus, please consider sharing it with a classmate, a coworker, or anyone else you know who could use a little bit of help. And if you're not yet subscribed or following the show, I would love if you would do that. That way you don't ever miss an episode. And if you have something you want me to talk about, again, reach out, send me your suggestions. I'd love to hear them. I will see you again here soon. Bye for now. This podcast is brought to you by Straight A Nursing, a proud member of the Airwave Media Network. For more educational podcasts, check out airwavemedia.com. And for more nursing-related content, go to straightanursingstudent.com.
Hey everyone, it's Dan Souza from America's Test Kitchen. I'm super excited to let you all know that we're launching a new video podcast that takes you behind the scenes into the messy, imperfect, but riveting day-to-day life right here in our test kitchen. Not only do I get to talk to my colleagues about the latest taste test they attended.
I just came from a tasting of salted caramel apple pie bars and then roasted garlic, so I apologize.
Or about a recipe they're developing.
The thing about this recipe is it's a secret. The restaurateur refuses to tell people what her secret ingredients are.
We also chat with amazing guests from the culinary world and beyond.
The lamest joke I've ever said. I said to Marie Bamford.
Great.
It's
Definitely
great
said
joke.
Thanks.
Make sure to subscribe to In the Test Kitchen so you don't miss an episode. You can watch In the Test Kitchen on YouTube and Spotify and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Can't wait to see you in the Test Kitchen.